Hello, good afternoon to everybody. Hear me? A minute. Good afternoon to everybody. I am Vinanchi Arachi Jebamalai. I hail from Kanyakumari, the southern tip of India. For nearly 10 years, I worked as assistant professor of economics in Pioneer Kumarasamy College in Nagarkovil for 7 years, and for 3 years at Loyola College, Chennai. Then it was in 1982, I joined the United Nations Industrial Development Organization based in Vienna, Austria. I gradually climbed the ladder of career development. I held many positions at the headquarters and in the field. And eventually, I retired as the principal advisor to the Director General of United Nations Industrial Development Organization called UNIDO. Having worked for the UN for nearly 30 years, I wanted to go back to teaching, and I am associating myself with leading institutions, professing the knowledge, what I acquired during my over 30 years of experience with the United Nations. I am extremely grateful to the organizers for arranging this. I am grateful in particular to Dr. Luz Puvalraya for giving me this unique opportunity to talk to you. Now, the title is Post-COVID Business Opportunities. I would make an amendment to the title because we don't know when the whole thing would end. There may not be something called post-COVID in the near future as things stand today. Even if you, excuse me, I'm trying to get into you have to bear with me for a minute. I'm trying to get into my slide. PowerPoint presentation, which you cannot see, but I can see. There seems to be a technical problem here. Okay. Extremely sorry for the technical snag, which I don't have any control on this. Let me get out of this. And now I'm reopening my PowerPoint presentation. Kindly bear with me for a minute. Okay, I can live with this. I'm not able to. Oh my God, what is this? Okay, let me speak extempo. There is no other way. Okay, so I will make an amendment to the title itself. I take the liberty of doing it because as things stand today, we really don't know when will the COVID-19 end. It appears that it will continue to prevail for some more time, and we are conditioned to live with it. So as we realize that, it is one type of age we are undergoing. If you look at the history of economic development, countries and continents passed through several stages of development. You talk about Stone Age, then Iron Age, then Carbon Age, Green Age. Now it is called COVID Age. As we are conditioned to live with it, we have to just reflect on the viable avenues of establishing some type of compatibility between our style of living and the ground realities of COVID-19. We talk about the new normal. COVID-19 turned the whole world upside down. We are all aware of that. Now, everything is changed. Our lifestyle is completely changed. Mode of working is changed. Pattern of production is changed. And means of marketing is also changed. When everything is upside down, how we are going to cope with the completely different syndrome in which we are going to live. And so it is quite possible when some opportunities emerge and challenges are converted into opportunities in life, each challenge is an opportunity. Our personal and professional response to convert challenges into opportunities and opportunities into sustainable sources of wealth creation is a discovery process. In fact, we discovered the process in the past. In the past, several times, the world economy plunged into uh, cyclical downturns. And every time, the crisis was converted into a big source of opportunity. Let us start with the Great Depression of 1930s. So, America plunged into the Great Depression of 1930s in 1929. The whole thing started in 1929 when Franklin Roosevelt assumed office as the president. He said, the only fear we have to fear is fear itself. I would like to sound the same positive tone here. As you know, we are all in a depressed, oppressed, suppressed mood. Things are in a befogged state of affairs. We don't know what is going to happen. Even in colleges, the students who got campus recruitment, they are not able to join because of the high degree of uncertainty. Everybody is in a very, very depressed mood. So, amidst all these things, I would like to make optimistic claims based on what the world achieved and the way the world recovered from global economic downturns. So during the 1930s, when President Roosevelt assumed, he introduced the pump priming principle, pumping more money into the economy. He was really convinced that when people are armed with the money, they can convert their desire and want into demand. Then, when people start to demand goods and services, factories will start to respond. Then, employment opportunities will be created, and full employment will be reached. It really happened through pump priming principle. They achieved. The same thing is now happening. The recent package announced by the government of India, 20 lakh crores rupees, it is almost a tantamount to pump priming money into the economy, into the hands of the people. So we are repeating the same, drawing on the experience in the past. Then I talk about the next crisis, the so-called oil crisis in 1973. And when the first oil crisis surfaced, first time the oil price surpassed $100 per barrel. And everybody started predicting a gloomy picture about the development prospects of developing countries. In fact, only after the first oil shock, many countries emerged as the first and second generations of newly industrializing countries. And it was only after the first oil shock we realized the importance of increasing energy efficiency by changing the pattern of production. And today, we see how efficient our vehicles are. And it's all due to the shock we suffered, the crisis we faced. Again, during the dot-com crisis, we realized that there should be no exaggerated speculation about the prospects. And we should not expand beyond a certain limit and make an exaggerated imagination about any particular sector. It would one day collapse. The same thing happened during the 2008 and 9, the financial crisis. Exaggerated imagination about the property market, it collapsed, and again we recovered. During these two crises, in between actually Asian financial crisis, the lessons we learned are different, and those lessons helped us to recover from the crisis and enter into a new era of prosperity. And during the East Asian financial crisis, which happened in the late 1980s, 90s, what happened was the short-term lenders were funding the high import intensity of export orientation, because most of the East Asian countries were totally export oriented. In fact, the main source of growth for each product stemmed from external demand, accounting for more than 90% of growth. And they could not produce for export unless they imported goods. And for the importing goods, they depended on short-term lenders who gave money to these producers for a short period and charged a very high rate of interest, like film producers, film financiers. film producers getting money from film finance, short-term lending at a very high rate of interest. That helped the East Asian countries to recover and sustain their export-oriented growth. At one point, what happened? The short-term lenders stopped lending. Then the government felt the need for controlling, capital control. They introduced what is called capital control. So they came out with the regulatory frameworks to monitor the behavior of financiers. And again, during the last 2008 and 9 crisis, we realized that we should not go over belief on market forces. We should not go over belief on uh, 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 liberalization and deregulation. We cannot leave everything to price. Under the laissez-faire policy, we say that set the price right, everything will be set all right. But it did not happen. It did not happen at all. So those crises were totally different from the current crisis. So every time we recovered, and during the 2008 and 9 crisis, the government realized that a government cannot follow laissez-faire policy that is free for all. Government should emerge as a dynamic entrepreneur, not in terms of owning industrial assets, but in terms of rekindling all sources of new and dynamic growth. This is what we did. So all these lessons we learned, but this crisis is totally different. It is not a recession, because a recession means there should be dramatic decline in economic activity for 2 quarters, 6 months. So we are suffering this for the last 2.5 months. Of course, indications are that there will definitely be a recession. That it's not Great Depression, because Great Depression means dramatic decline in economic activities for at least 3 consecutive years, as it happened in the US during the Great Depression of 1930s. So it is not. So what should we call it? I would call it the Great Global Economic Paralysis. The paralysis is caused by sickness. There's a dual problem. Health problem created economic problem. And the indicators are dramatic decline in activities, decline in output, and the steep rise in unemployment, then falling exports, falling imports, then aircrafts are completely grounded, and vehicles are off the road. Most of the vehicles are off the road. Firms are in the cremation ground, and these firms are brought from the cremation ground to the intensive care unit. In the intensive care unit, they are all in business coma, and whenever they recover from business coma, they are asking for vitamin M. This is what is happening. Producers, distributors, and customers are completely locked in. But amidst all these things, not all are doing bad. Some sectors are really doing well in times of crisis. They are pharmaceutical companies, pharmacies, technology. Technology is needed, definitely needed for, everything is going online. For that, you need technology. There is a big demand for it. So video conferencing, I heard that Zoom, the share price of Zoom increased by 50% last week. Online marketing, online courses, and video games, all these things are actually benefiting from the crisis because of the changed situation. And now, um, let me just talk about, I will straight away focus on the emerging opportunities stemming. When you gather literature on the emerging opportunities, you have to talk about, the literature talks about the different types of recovery the world economy may undergo. One is V-shaped. V-shaped means, okay, sudden increase in the economic activities, and that is not going to happen. Let us forget about the V-shaped recovery. This U-shaped recovery means it will take some time to recover, and during the course of the time, they have to prioritize. They have to prioritize. There are priorities to be listed clearly, because we are talking about 4 or 3 L's, at least 3 L's. Saving lives, that is one L. Another one, saving livelihoods, creating sustainable sources of livelihood. And number 2, L number 2. Then the third L is uh, living a new style of the new style of living. I would put it like that: a new style of living. These are all 3 L's. I would like to add one more L here: leveraging the emerging open innovation and the value creation network. So among all these things, what to do, what to prefer, what should be preferred to what. So we have to decide on that. It will take some time. So it will slowly recover. It is U-shaped. W-shaped recovery means economy will recover. Again, there will be a recurrence of COVID. in a very aggressive way, again lockdown and decline, and again it may go up. Let us accept that it is quite possible. As things stand today, there may be W-shaped recovery. So in the W-shaped recovery, what are the opportunities we can think of? Now, I prepared a list of opportunities under sunset industries and sunrise industries. I should not call it industries, I would say sunrise and sunset to productive and service activities. Under sunset, I have the following: travel, tourism, automobile, entertainment, logistics, public transportation, luxury products, real estate, oil and gas, construction, retail, events and conferences. These things will suffer a deep decline in activities. I cannot accept the list as it is, because in the case of automobile, if people try to avoid public transportation, they may prefer to have a car. Now, most of the rich people and upper middle income and middle income people own a car. Now, if people try to avoid public transportation, they would like to buy a car. Even the lower middle class, even the poor man may try to buy a car, for his own safety. He may try to avoid the public transportation. In that case, there may be an increase in the demand for new cars, and the poor people who cannot afford new car, or the lower income middle class people who cannot afford new cars, may prefer even old cars in good condition. So this list is subject to debate, actually. Then let me turn to sunrise industries. These are all digital products, structured knowledge, gig economy. That means you don't get a regular job, you get paid for a given task. Then online coaching and teaching. This is booming like anything. It's becoming very popular. Now, many are now entertaining a thought to run different courses for preparing students even for IB exam, in close cooperation with the institutions which run IB courses. Then alternate energy, this is another one. I used to say WWWW, that means convert wind, water, waste into watts and watts into wealth. This is coming out in a big way. Insurance company. Alternate medicine, this is very important. Now we don't have the curative means and preventive means, and people are preferring the traditional medicine to boost the immune system. This particular product may emerge as a coveted product. Gaming, because those who are conditioned to stay at home, they will be engaged in that. Healthcare. Then affiliate market means selling some other's product, not your own product. The networked marketing, if you participate in the global supply chain and value chain and successfully try to market the products, provided they are produced according to international standards and quality control norms. Then disruptive technologies. These disruptive technologies are going to play a major role in changing the lifestyle. Everything is triggered by now disruptive technologies. Disruptive technology is exposing us to something called creative destruction. Creative destruction, in which the old things are being removed. That means the new technological marvels make the old things stumbled. I can list a large number of disruptive technologies, to start with advanced digital production system, artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, then big data management, cloud computing, 3D printers, Internet of Things, Internet of Services, and Internet of Energy, etc., etc. So these disruptive technologies are going to change our lifestyle completely. So this is going to dominate. These are all the changes. Now, instead of looking at this, I have given you sunset and sunrise productive and service activities. I would like to make a different approach. Now, if we are conditioned to live with COVID for some more years, so what are the business opportunities stemming from number 1L? I said saving life. In saving life, what are the business opportunities? Normally, you tend to think, come on, you produce more masks, face mask, and there will be a big demand. Yes, there will be a very big demand for it. If you are able to produce high quality mask at incredibly low price, your competitiveness will be sharpened. You can even capture the global market. Yes, there's a big business in it. Then sanitizers, different varieties of sanitizers. If you come out with a new sanitizer, that is a bio sanitizer, that may fetch a big demand for that. So like that, we have to reflect on it. So in saving lives, then public hygiene related products, getting ourselves in the production of public hygiene related products is another event. Now I can cite many examples. Even from the coconut fiber, you can produce a broom, not a normal broom, a specially designed one, which is used for effective cleaning of the toilet. It is proved there. And there are so many things like that. We have to come out with many products like that. Then business opportunities in creating sustainable sources of livelihoods. A second L, that is livelihood. First we talked about life. Are there business opportunities in saving lives? Of course there are business opportunities in saving lives. And if you take the example of hospitals, if you are able to provide highly sophisticated medical service at incredibly low price, and you really, in the long run, you thrive. Everybody will prefer you to others. This is it is already proven. It's a systematically proved. So this is a big challenge. Then the next one is business opportunities in creating sustainable sources of livelihood. I would like to say, let us take the example of the worst affected by the COVID. The poor people are really worst affected. Daily wage earners are worst affected. We know that. We are seeing it with our own eyes. I would say there should be a determined effort to foster industrious revolution. Make each household sector industrious. Before the evolution of the first industrial revolution in the 18th century, initially the household sector responded. The household sector responded to uh, the growing demand for goods and services. It's called industrious revolution. Now that type of neo-industrious revolution should be encouraged here. Make the household sector participate in the local, regional, and global value chain. This is possible. I know already in Kanyakumari district, there are several bakeries in Nagarkovil. They are not actually running a factory to bake products. They are subcontracting this to the household sector. It's all collected from the household. The famous, the Karupukatti Alva, the famous one. That is actually produced at home and supplied to factories. It is being sold like hotcake. Like that, the household sectors can be contracted. The real challenge here is how to make the household sector turn out products complying with the international standards and quality control norms. This is the real challenge. For that, it is important that government renders technical assistance to the household sectors, which are households which are heavily involved in productive and service activities, technical assistance and business support services. With that, then we can really create sustainable sources of livelihood for the vulnerable segments of the population. Then business opportunities stemming from new style of living. Now, new style of living, we are all conditioned. We are not supposed to socialize. Of course, we are now, I heard more than 500, 600 persons have registered for this conference. We are actually socializing very well in an era of social distancing. This is thanks to the technological marvel. So when we reflect on what are the business opportunities we can capture, what are the niche products we can capture from and the style of living, new style of living. So you are conditioned to stay at home. So when you are conditioned to stay at home and you do the work from home, you will be wearing only the casual dress. The dress can be formal, informal, and casual. So my feeling is, as an economist, my analytical interpretation is that there may be a big demand for casual dress. So hereafter, the CMT operators, that cut, make, trim operators, will be increasing in the production of casual dress in response to the possible increase in the demand for casual dress. And then you have your desk at home, and there is something called a desk organizer. That means to put the pencil, pen, everything. And there may be demand for that particular product, anything related to that, anything that is. Of course, there will be a big demand for technology, for doing everything in the digital world, sitting in the home, sitting at home, you need technology. So many may not be able to buy a new laptop or a new computer, something like that. one niche market which I saw long back, not due to a crisis or something like that. Some 20 unemployed engineering graduates started a small shop just to produce computers out of used computers, abandoned computers. They used to collect components from e-waste, from the slum. They collect it, and they were very skillful in making new computers out of old components, usable old components of abandoned computers. And believe me, within 1 year, they were networking with nearly 6,000 vendors supplying these inputs, and they were selling these products at incredibly low price, maybe about $200, something like that, which is a big money in Nigeria. And then you can also, with the enhanced adaptive capabilities and skills to use modern technology and to commercialize new knowledge, you can participate even in the global value chain. I can give you one example. One guy is sitting in a city in Africa, which is not well known actually. He is manufacturing rubber-based non-automotive component for aircrafts. He's doing that. He's making money out of that. This is another. Like that, you can definitely, I was told that the famous car company is using handmade wooden panels for the dashboard. And the car, in terms of Indian rupees, the car may cost even 1 crore, something like that. But the wooden panel fixed on the dashboard of the car is handmade with a high degree of precision and highest degree of accuracy. So these niche products are there. So all that you need is enhanced adaptive capabilities and skills to use technology and to commercialize new knowledge. Then liberating with the emerging open innovation system and value creation network in the virtual world. Everything is going to happen in the virtual world. This is going to be the reality now. Yesterday, I was actually, day before yesterday, addressing and the participants, I was asked to speak on the rapidly changing facets of higher education and the role of reskilling program for teachers. I repeatedly said that everything is going to be in the digital world hereafter, and digital world may not capture all the good aspects of higher educational system. There is a lot of fun in sitting in the classroom and learning with a teacher. No, digital world cannot capture that. But digital world may not capture all, but it is going to capture most of it, most of the unique aspects of learning. So like that, we have to be prepared. You see, that means we have to be prepared for the so-called creative destruction, and triggered largely by disruptive technologies, and also by the new waves of the uh, virtual new waves in the virtual world. That is, I would call it open innovation and value creation network. So we have to be part of in order to thrive in an internationally competitive environment. I very often say that in an internationally competitive environment, it is not the question of the survival of the biggest or smallest, but the fastest. Only those who keep pace with the rapidly changing facets of doing business will thrive, others will fall apart. The starting point in whatever you want to do is to take an inventory of the modern industrial applications of the locally available resources. If you are living in a village, there may be resources, locally available resources. There is a program called, local production of low-cost building material. You can get a lot of assistance from the Ministry of Urban Development. Actually, and the UNIDO at one point implemented this program in many African countries, and our Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India, played a major role, and they produce. There is a small device. You can even convert the mesquite plant, the fiber, mesquite plant fiber. You mix it with the resin waste. You produce low density plyboard. When you produce that, it can be used for as a panels on the door, for the doors, or even on the walls, even in air conditioned rooms. It is so. This is incredibly cheap. Mesquite plant grows everywhere, like a shameless plant. You don't water, you don't plant, you don't menu, it grows in spite of you, I would say. That fiber, when mixed with the resin base, if you go to the refineries and ask the manager to give you the resin base, he will be happy to give it to you free of cost. He may even pay you some money because in order to comply with ecological norms, he will do that. So in the future, what is going to happen is um, we are conditioned to enhance economic efficiency, ecological compliance, and the socially desirable pattern of production. So we have to be part of it. It is again a big challenge. As I again said, in life, each challenge is an opportunity, and our response, as we did in the past, as we handled the past crisis. So our response to personal and professional response to convert challenges into opportunities and opportunities into sustainable sources of livelihood is a discovery process. While discovering the process, anyone who wants to embark on some type of knowledge or technology-based entrepreneurship, the minimum is to know your distance to the frontiers of best practice. And actually, there is going to be a very big priority accent on entrepreneurship development because jobs will be lost. 1 out of 4 will be unemployed, and the firms and other sources may not absorb them. So the only way is to promote employment, entrepreneurship, dynamic entrepreneurship development. When you embark on the production or marketing of production or marketing of any product, the minimum is to know your distance to the frontiers of best practice. You don't have to replicate it immediately. And once you understand that you are here and the frontiers of best practice are far, far away, then you try to identify viable avenues of reducing your distance to the frontiers of best practice. And once you reach the frontiers of best practice, your growth will be explosive. When you look at the growth of dynamic industrial locations, I used to ask only simple questions. Why some locations, not even countries, why some countries are doing better than others? The answer is very simple. Some locations are doing extremely better than others because they reach the threshold of competitiveness by reducing their distance to the frontiers of best practice. So when you reach the threshold of competitiveness, your growth will be explosive. I stop here and I will take questions now. Thank you. I think I can get rid of my PowerPoint presentation. Where am I? Hello? Yes. If there is any question, you can type the question also. Maybe if it is possible, I would kindly request Mr. Dr. Luz Pual Raya to read out the question. Dr. Pual Raya? Hello? Hello, do you hear me? Hello? Is there any? Hello? Hello? Do you hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Can you just collect the questions and read out? I may be able to answer. Yeah. Okay. 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 I cannot. Oh, I cannot ask and answer question. Oh, there is somebody. Justin, I think something is coming. No, say something. The question will appear in the sections which says say something. Am I right? It is here. The question is supposed to appear. Am I right? There is somebody. There is somebody. Yes, yes, there is a question. There are some questions coming in. Okay, okay. There is a question from Madam Pushpalada Mailsami. When migrant workers are start moving to their native places, what impact it will have on labor force in the future? It's a good question. Let me answer this question first, and then okay. uh, According to my assessment, the migrant workers, were earning reasonably a good wage wherever they got job. This is my personal experience with migrant workers. I have a house in Kerala. I used to contact migrant workers to come and clean the house on Sundays. They were reasonably earning, but reasonably good amount. No doubt about it. So during the crisis, they lost their job, and maybe they lost the support from the employer. The employer is also helpless, eh? And they are conditioned to leave. To assume that after the COVID-19, they will come back may be wrong. They are all now emotionally attached. The way they leave suggests that they may not come back, according to my assessment. But there are two approaches here. If at all they refuse to come, what we need to do in the areas of origin and in the areas of choice. Assuming that most of them would like to settle down in the areas of origin, then there is no livelihood. There is no job for them. That's why they all came here. Now they go back. If there is no, they don't want to come back. If they want to stay at the areas of origin, I think the priorities will be, if you ask them what are your priorities, based on my experience in Africa, I would like priorities will be, they want to own a piece of land, and they want some assistance from international organizations and the NGOs to cultivate the land, increase productivity, reduce post-harvest losses, and get into some type of semi-processing for further processing, like that. For that, they need assistance. That assistance should be rendered free of cost. And this is the only way to create sustainable sources of livelihood for them. Then the migrants who settle down in the areas of choice, for example, the migrants who are in Kerala, if they refuse to leave Kerala, they want to settle down here. We have to see the changing pattern of demand for skills. And according to them, that the demand for skills, they all should undergo some type of reorientation. Yeah. To enhance their health, capabilities and skills, to make it compatible with the rapidly changing and the pattern of demand for skills. There is another person's questions are running out. What are the opportunities available for artists during the lockdown? Business is lucrative. How other sectors can overcome this situation after opportunities for them? Example, automobiles. Automobile sector, I already answered. The general feeling is that the subdued demand for automobile would continue. My feeling is automobile sector will be revived. I think it will be on the recovery track. The demand for automobiles will increase because of increasing number of people preferring to have automobiles as they decide to avoid public transportation for health and safety reasons. I would give that. What are the opportunities available for developed people? What is it? Deprived people like third gender. I think there are special programs for that. They are very keen, and the government is very keen to take care of them, and equal importance is given to them, and substantial amount is also allotted. I think they should be empowered in that process. Sami sir, you have wide exposure with many countries. How the see pandemic in future academic era? Oh, this is interesting. How will it affect? We are seeing it, how it is affecting the whole thing. All the schools and colleges, universities remain closed, but the business as usual. Most of the work is done. I checked with somebody this morning, how is it going? Examinations are over there. Everything was done online. As I said, it may not, the so-called digital world may not be able to capture everything, but it's going to capture a lot of it. And then another question here, how can we cope with the changes in the future in case business to be shifted from China to Japan? I see. From China, actually, uh, uh, many thought many companies will shift their operations to other countries, and the new initiative, that means initiated by Trump, where many countries like Japan, India, Republic of Korea, Vietnam, Australia, and New Zealand, this is going to be a very big power group. Having said that, to be very honest, um, uh, I am really convinced that in spite of what happened in China, and China is the origin of this virus, in the long run, if we can come out with a scheme to dovetail the complementarities of India and China, it will become a very big common market, and that will be the most powerful bloc in the world. Uh, I am totally convinced of that. Um, a nice presentation. Okay, oh my God, it's not that. Something like, who is that Mother Teresa Engineering College? No, it's not a question. It is complimenting. Thank you, sir. Any feedback is available. No, they are all not questions. These are just complimenting. They say it is good. They benefited from that. This is what it says. I don't see any. Let me go down, because let me see whether anything to be answered here. What is this? Compliance has been an issue in India for a very long time. What can we do? So there are many trade capacity building related interventions. Yeah, producing a product, complying with international standards and quality control now is a must. Otherwise, you cannot survive in an internationally competitive environment. Look at China. I would say 20 years ago, people were talking about the durability of Chinese products. You know, when I was in Africa working in Sudan, whenever I stopped my car at any traffic signal, the car was surrounded by at least 25 street vendors carrying 60 Chinese products, each one costing only $1. It's so tempting to buy. I could not resist my temptation to buy electric fan, iron box, and this and that, but I could use it only for a limited period, a short period. And then the durability was a big, but that is completely changed. And today, Chinese goods are in par with any other product produced by even advanced countries. That the Chinese goods are not durable. That's history. That is actually history. Chinese are able to turn out products complying with international standards and quality control norms, and it is as good as any other product. We know that, Uh, so, what can we do? If you are an industrialist asking me this question, benefit from many trade capacity related interventions made by the government, and technical assistance rendered by international organizations and other specialized institutions for you to produce products complying with the established quality control norms. Yeah. And then another one. It's not a question. I'm sorry. What are the business made of? I think I answered this question. Very nice. Other scholars can come. I think it's almost the same question. What are the what is this? This is interesting. After COVID, it is the end for few teachers due to viral teaching. Sorry, due to virtual teaching. Okay. Will it disappear? This is interesting. I can take you to this example of introduction of computers. When computers were introduced, many raised objections saying that a typist will lose job. And look at millions of computer related jobs created. It's almost like that. Just because we enter into virtual world for teaching the subject, the teachers will lose job. No, not necessarily. In fact, we need more teachers in the virtual world. As I said, each opportunity is each crisis will bring some opportunities. Computer is the best example. I will not mention the name of the state. There was a big agitation for a long time against, including the government, the party which was ruling the state. They were all against the introduction of computers. The reason was typists would lose job. And that state today encompasses state of the art 4 technoparks. They are extremely well. I know. The state which raised objection to the introduction of computers without realizing that computer related jobs will be in terms of millions. Now it is encompassing 4 state of the art, ultra modern, and the tech parks. So this will happen. Don't worry. Teachers will not lose job. They may need more teachers in the virtual world to enhance the effectiveness and relevance of teaching. And then someone is thanking me for this tireless work. Okay, let me read this question. How can we cope with the changes in the future in case business work? I think I answered this question. Yeah. Is it right time for students to enter entrepreneurship? Yes, yes, of course. Is it? This is a good question. Is it the right? So what else? What else we can do? Uh, I understand that the students who were recruited through campus recruitment are not being invited. So what is the other possibility? The only possibility is to emerge as an entrepreneur, and there are plenty of opportunities. And when you emerge as an entrepreneur, please try to network with relevant persons, because collective response to withstand competitive pressures for efficiency gains is the new business theology. Collaborate to compete. They even use the phrase co-opetition. You cooperate to withstand competitiveness. So when you network with other partners, you enhance your collective response and do well. It is very well. But the only problem in networking is coordination failure. It's quite possible the networking partners may get into coordination failure, but it is being proved that knowledge dissemination is the most effective means to correct coordination failures. Yeah. Now, I can give you many examples. How can you, particularly in the rural areas, now I see a tendency here. Many highly qualified, educated persons return to their villages to do agribusiness. And I can give you one example here that the Murunga products. I know a friend of mine who got distinction in BE, is an IIT candidate. Then he went to Philippines. He worked as the big manager in one of the NGOs there. He came back, and I met him in Bangalore at a B school, and I appreciated him. He is actually a world-renowned expert on green marketing. He commands a high degree of respect as a great professional, as a teacher. So he decided to go back to his village. He converted, I think the family owns nearly 600 acres. He already converted 200 acres into Murunga farm. And he's expanding now. He's going to cover 400 near Tirunelveli. It is between Tirunelveli and um, Koilpatti. I visited the farm. And the Murunga products, Murunga leaf, Murunga powder, Murunga oil, Murunga honey, and then Murunga stem and Murunga the root, everything is globally sold at like a hotcake. And the total value of Murunga products in the global market is to the tune of $10 billion. You can Google that. Cuba has converted the entire country into Murunga farm because of the growing demand for it. As you know, because of the high iron content and vitamin C and so many ingredients, which are very good for health and particularly for enhancing your immune system, it is being Murunga products are used by food processing companies, used by cosmetic companies, and also by um, other firms. So when because of I think the average annual demand, the demand for global demand for Murunga products is growing at an average annual rate of, I think, 24% now. This is what they say. So everybody gets into that and everybody profits. Everybody is spending money like that. Cuba has converted the entire country into Murunga farm, and originally the plant was transplanted from Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu. Fidel Castro was taking Murunga uh, powder and Murunga soup almost every day. And you know how many years he lived. So, like that, there are promising product areas you can capture the next. And it appears you can make paper out of the banana trunk using Australian technology. Like that, you have to identify promising product areas which can enable you to emerge as a successful entrepreneur. So you have to do a lot of homework to do that. Uh, you just first take an inventory of the resources available in your village or in the area where you live, in the town, or wherever you live, and see the modern industrial applications of those products. And then try to get into this. The cassava product, there's another product called cassava, tapioca. Thailand is making 23 billion packs every year. Cassava is a major exporter, and they just send it in the form of semi-processed form, pellets. They just, and the factory does not own farms at all. The factory is asking the agents to just bring the cassava and dump it at the factory gate, and then everything is mechanized. It's highly capital intensive operation. Everything is mechanically operated, collected, cleaned, peeled, and cut and dried, and then they export it to mainly to European Union, and it is used for making industrial starch. And this is a very simple, like that. You have to identify very coveted product areas which are possible to develop, and grow. Many of the My friend who started the Murunga farm, now he is expanding it to cover 600 acres of land. And he is also rendering service in a different way. That means anybody can go to him and give the land, but he will not take the land. He will not look at the money. He is following a very good strategy. He said, I don't want to look at your money, but you cultivate and do everything according to my scientific in the instructions. And he is monitoring it using he has a separate app for that. He has developed it, well-defined one, well-programmed one. He can monitor each inch of the farm every day, and he can tell them that something is going wrong here, something is going wrong. You do that, and then he will make a buyback arrangement. Once they harvest, he will buy, because he has already networked with the global market everywhere, and he is not able to increase the supply response, and he is able to supply only 30% of the market he has already acquired. So he is networking with the different people, those who own land, and they are cultivating, and he will say that I don't want to look at your money, I don't want to touch that one. You do everything according to my instructions. So whenever I visit, come and pay me the per diem. That's the only thing you have to do. And then when the output is ready, he makes a buyback arrangement. He buys it for the global market, provided it's 100% organic and everything is done according to his scientific instructions. And many are approaching him. So many, according to my rough estimate and guesstimate, soon he will be covering nearly 1,000 acres. Very soon, in the next 6 months or 7 months, he will be covering nearly 1,000 acres of land. It's all in and around the Tirunelveli. See, like that, I'm giving you some examples. Like that, you have to penetrate. Yeah. I don't think there is any other question. Let me see. Oh, feedback. No other question. I think, can I talk to Mr. Paul Rai? Hello? Okay, I'll call him. Yeah. Okay, there is one new question. No, there is one more question. Where can we learn about the procedure for agri export like Murunga products? Or okay, aloe vera. This is a good question. I should really answer. Aloe vera. Okay, this is good. You know, as I said, pharmaceutical companies, food processing companies, and cosmetic companies are using Murunga products, varieties of Murunga products. If you actually combine the Murunga oil with aloe vera gel, which is also available, it is free, it's available everywhere. That is proven to be the best face cream, the best face cream. And many are making it. Of course, we are making it at home here. And one, you can get into that. Now, the person is asking me, how can I get the information? Come on, just to Google Murunga importers, you will get everything. And if you want additional information, you can call me. I will connect you with my friend who is already exporting this, and he will help you. Please contact me. I can introduce you to my friend. And there is a big supply gap, and he is not able to increase the supply response, particularly for this Murunga oil. And if you are able to supply Murunga seeds, he can even convert it into Murunga oil and do that. He can help you. Please contact me. Okay. Taking up the new job for business, which is better for new graduates. Now, once a person is asking me, taking up a new job for the business, which is better for new graduates. I think it is better to go for no. If you get a job, that's very good. If you are able to get a job befitting your educational qualification, that is very good to start with. In the long run, if there is uncertainty about the continuity of your job, better you keep options open, venture into all the areas I suggested. I have given you some examples. There are thousands and thousands of products which can be exploited by dynamic entrepreneurs. Be part of that and try to emerge as a dynamic entrepreneur. Okay, I think the organizer is calling me. Hello. I think we can wind up now. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience, Kiran. I'm sorry, extremely sorry for the technical snack in the beginning. I was a little bit perplexed, but I think we managed it. Huh? So thank you for the great opportunity. Okay. Look forward to meeting you again. Thank you. Bye. I will now I'll end screen. Okay.